All right, diving right in. Today we're looking at the future of history education.
Buckle up.
Yeah, especially, you know how emerging digital technologies are going to totally
Yeah.
shake things up.
Mm,
And, you sent in some really cool sources this time,
yeah.
including a paper and some blog posts by this Croatian educator, Miljenko Hajdarovic. Have you heard of him?
Oh, yeah. He's great.
Yeah, it's really fascinating stuff. And it kind of gets you thinking like, wow,
Yeah.
the way students research and experience history
Right.
could be completely different in just a few years.
I mean, just think about
Things like AI and XR.
Yeah, I mean, those are the big ones right now. And what I think is really cool about Hajdarovic is
Yeah.
he's not just some theorist, just kind of,
Armchair quarterbacking.
yeah, like he's actually been in the trenches. He's been a history teacher himself,
Right.
textbook author, and he's really involved in these European initiatives to improve history education,
So he's got skin in the game.
Totally.
He's walking the walk.
Mm.
Did you see that thing in his bio about the textbook ban in Croatia?
Oh, yeah. I got to ask him about that.
I know we should, what happened there?
Yeah,
We'll have to get him on the show. But
for sure.
first, let's dive into his academic paper. He uses some interesting forecasting methods,
Yeah,
like the Delphi technique
right.
and futures wheel.
To try to predict how emerging technologies are going to impact the history classroom, which is really cool. I mean, obviously they're not crystal balls, but
No.
but they're
It's a way to kind of get a sense of where things might be going.
exactly. And the Delphi technique is interesting because you're gathering expert opinions, right?
Right.
But anonymously. So you're trying to avoid those individual biases from skewing the results.
Right.
So you go through these rounds and rounds of feedback and you kind of refine those predictions. So
So it's a consensus.
yeah, exactly. Try to reach some sort of consensus.
That's experts.
Yeah. And the futures wheel, that's a cool one too, because that one is really about visualizing those ripple effects of technology.
Right. Like what happens
What are consequences?
down the line.
Yeah. And how are these things connected, right? Because technologies don't exist in isolation. They all influence each other. So yeah, cool stuff.
Yeah. So it's not just like throwing darts at a board.
No.
It's a pretty structured way of thinking about what might be coming next
It's methodical.
in history education.
Yeah.
So what did they find out? Well, they kind of honed in on
Yeah.
5 key technologies that are poised to have a major impact.
Okay.
And those are artificial intelligence, which everybody knows is AI, right?
Yeah, of course.
Extended reality,
Yeah.
or XR, 5G, enhanced connectivity. Now that one might not sound super sexy, but it's actually a big deal.
It is, yeah.
Natural language processing, that's NLP.
NLP. Yeah.
And then gamification and learning analytics.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so let's tackle these one by one. And let's start with probably the one that people have the most
Oh, I know where you're going.
questions about and anxieties about.
The big one, AI.
AI. Yeah.
Everyone's talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the
Right, yeah.
elephant in the room or the robot in the room, maybe.
Like a robot, yeah.
But when people think of AI, they might picture,
Right?
robots lecturing students or
Yeah, taking over the classroom.
taking over their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
But Hajdarovic suggests that it could actually be used to personalize learning in some really interesting ways.
Okay. How
So, for example, he gives this example of AI analyzing a student's research habits. So let's say a student is writing a paper about the American Revolution, but all their sources are from the British perspective.
Okay, yeah.
The AI could actually identify that bias and recommend additional sources from the American perspective.
Interesting.
And that would kind of prompt the student to be more balanced and critical.
So it's not about replacing the teacher.
Right.
It's about guiding the student.
Guiding them.
Towards a more complete understanding, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And that kind of personalized learning, I mean, it can go beyond just research. Like, imagine AI tailoring the content and pacing of a lesson
To each student?
to each student's individual needs
Wow.
and learning styles and,
So it's adapting in real time.
yeah. So if they're breezing through something,
Give them more challenging stuff.
give them something harder. But if they're struggling,
more support.
give them more help. And it's like,
It's like having a personal tutor for every kid.
yeah, it's like having a personalized tutor for every student.
That's amazing.
But AI isn't just about, personalized learning. It can actually help teachers with
All that other stuff they got to do.
all that other stuff, like
yeah, all the busy work.
the grading.
Grading, lesson planning, creating assessments.
Yeah, so it can automate some of that stuff.
Freeing up the teachers to actually teach.
Yeah, to do what they're really good at, which is
Inspiring and engaging students, yeah.
engaging the student. So
Yeah.
imagine if AI could grade multiple choice quizzes.
Oh, that would be a dream.
Right.
Or give initial feedback on essays.
Yeah.
So the teacher can focus on those higher level things.
Yeah, exactly. And like
Yeah, that would be a game changer.
leading class discussions or, providing one-on-one mentoring
Absolutely.
and really like developing creative and engaging lesson plans.
That's where the real magic happens, right, in the classroom.
Okay, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about extended reality, this one.
All right, XR.
This is where things get really futuristic.
I'm ready.
Yeah. So Hajdarovic really believes that XR could revolutionize
How students experience history.
how they experience it, not just how they learn about it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so he talks about students virtually stepping into the past,
Oh, wow.
walking through ancient Rome, experiencing the American Revolution firsthand.
That's amazing. So instead of just reading about it,
Yeah.
they're actually there.
They're immersed in it. So they're putting on the VR headset,
Right.
and they're suddenly in the Colosseum.
Yeah, we're on the battlefield.
Yeah, and they can interact with these 3D models of artifacts.
Right.
And even participate in simulated historical events.
It's like a time machine.
It is. It's a time machine. And think about how much more impactful that would be than just reading it in a textbook.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. It's one thing to read about the Colosseum,
Yeah.
but it's another thing to be standing there.
To feel the presence of the past.
Yeah, to hear the roar of the crowd, to see
Yeah.
the gladiators. I mean,
It's a completely different level of engagement.
yeah, and it really connects them on an emotional level.
That's what we want, right?
Yeah.
We want them to feel it.
To feel it, not just memorize it.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about AI, we've talked about
The
XR,
big ones.
the big ones, and now
What's next?
we're going to talk about something a little bit more
Down the curve.
down to earth. Yeah, 5G,
Okay.
enhanced connectivity. But trust me, this is also a game changer.
All right, I'm listening.
So imagine a classroom where internet speed and connectivity are no longer limitations.
Oh, that would be amazing. No more buffering.
No more buffering.
Waiting for videos to load.
Yeah, seamless access to online resources.
Collaboration with students from all over the world.
Yeah, and virtual field trips to historic sites across the globe.
The possibilities are endless.
Yeah, and it's like you're taking the best parts of the internet
Yeah.
and making them instantly accessible to any teacher
Right.
anywhere in the world.
That's powerful.
Yeah, so think about it. A student researching the French Revolution, boom,
Yeah.
they can access primary sources from France instantly.
Wow.
Collaborate on a project with students in Paris.
Like they're right there in the same room.
Yeah, and even take a virtual field trip to Versailles,
All in one class period.
all in one class period.
That's mind-blowing.
I know, it's really,
It's incredible.
it really is. But, with all of this,
There's always a but.
there's always a break.
What's the catch?
There are some downsides. So one of the things that Hajdarovic points out is
Yeah,
not everybody has equal access to 5G,
that's true, especially in rural areas.
especially in rural areas.
Underserved communities.
Yeah, underserved communities, and that's a big issue.
The digital divide.
Yeah, the digital divide.
I forget about that.
We can't just assume that everybody's going to be able to jump into this like super connected world.
Right, right.
And then there are also concerns about
Privacy.
privacy, yeah,
Data security.
data security, because with all this connectivity comes the responsibility of handling all that data responsibly.
Absolutely. We need clear guidelines and safeguards.
Absolutely. So it's not just about the technology, it's about how we use it.
Right. It's about the implementation.
In implementation, yeah.
And making sure it's equitable and ethical.
Yeah, and that's where policymakers and educational leaders
Come in.
come in. They have a big role to play here.
Absolutely. They got to be proactive.
Proactive, yeah, and invest in the infrastructure.
And the training.
Yeah, develop policies that
Promote equity.
promote equity and
Responsible
responsible
use of technology.
yeah, responsible use of technology. So it's not enough to just
Throw the technology at the problem.
throw it at the problem. Yeah,
We have to think critically about how it's used
exactly.
and make sure it benefits everyone.
Yeah, so we've tackled AI, we've tackled XR, we've tackled 5G,
3 big ones.
and there are 2 more on Hajdarovic's list,
Okay. I'm intrigued.
and they might surprise you.
All right. Let's hear it.
So stay tuned.
Okay.
We'll be right back after a short break.
Sounds good. Okay. Ready to jump back into those other 2 technologies from Hajdarovic's list?
Lay it on me.
All right. So the 4th one is natural language processing, or NLP.
NLP. Now that sounds
A
like
mouthful.
it does sound kind of complicated.
Yeah, it sounds very technical.
Like something out of Star Trek.
Right. Exactly.
But it's actually all around us already.
Oh, yeah. It's more common than you think.
Think about like
Voice assistant?
voice assistants on our phones.
Oh, like Siri or Alexa.
Now, or those like chatbots that pop up on website.
Exactly. They're using NLP to understand us.
Yeah. So that's how they can understand and respond to us because of NLP.
Right. It's the technology that allows computers to actually process human language.
So what does that mean for like history education?
Well, think about research.
Okay.
Like imagine a student is researching, let's say, the American Revolution again,
Okay.
and they could just ask a digital archive a question like
what?
Like, what were the main arguments for and against independence?
Wow.
And the system could analyze tons of documents
No way.
and then just give them the most relevant excerpts.
That's crazy.
It's like having a super-powered research assistant.
Yeah. No more spending hours.
Sifting through those dusty archives.
Yeah, just like flipping through pages.
Right, exactly.
So they could use NLP to analyze those primary sources.
Identify key themes, patterns.
Even translate documents from different languages.
Yeah, think about the possibility.
Oh, that's incredible.
It could revolutionize how we do research.
So it's not just like, spitting out facts.
No.
It's actually like understanding the meaning.
It's understanding the nuances of language.
Yeah, the nuance.
And, I was even thinking,
Yeah.
what if you could use NLP to create, like, interactive historical simulations?
What does that even mean?
Like, imagine students could have a conversation with a historical figure.
Like a virtual conversation.
Yeah.
Through NLP?
So they could be like, hey, Marie Antoinette,
What's up?
what's it like living in Versailles?
Exactly. Or debate Thomas Jefferson on democracy.
Whoa.
That
would be pretty cool, right?
That would be so cool.
It's like bringing history to life.
It really is. It's not just reading about it. It's like interacting with it.
Engaging with it on a whole other level.
Okay, so we've got AI, we've got XR, 5G, and NLP.
The future's looking pretty wild.
It is. And last but not least, we have gamification and learning analytics.
Okay, games in the classroom.
I know. I was a little skeptical about this one, too, at first.
Yeah, I get it.
I mean, doesn't that sound kind of like a recipe for distraction?
Right, like are they really going to be learning?
Yeah, are they just going to be playing games?
But it's not about just turning history class into a video game free-for-all.
Okay, so what is it about?
It's about using game-like elements
Okay.
to make learning more engaging.
Engaging, so like...
Points, badges, leaderboards, challenges, that kind of stuff.
So instead of memorizing dates and names,
Right.
they could be like playing a game where they're making decisions.
Exactly, like as a historical leader.
Wow. And seeing the consequences of their choices.
Yeah, or they could work together in teams
Oh, I like that.
to solve puzzles
Yeah.
based on historical events, and they could earn points for demonstrating their knowledge.
Oh, so it's like
It's making it fun,
making it fun, making it interactive.
active, engaging. Yeah.
Okay, I'm starting to see the potential here.
And that's where the learning analytics come in.
Okay, learning analytics. What's that?
So learning analytics basically uses data to track student progress.
Within these games.
Yeah, within the game, so you can see where they're excelling,
Okay.
where they might be struggling, and then you can provide personalized feedback.
So it's not just about like making it fun, it's about actually,
Understanding how they're learning.
yeah, how they're learning and then tailoring the instruction to make sure that they're succeeding.
Exactly. It's like having a secret weapon
A secret weapon.
to understand how each student learns best.
Yeah, and Hajdarovic really believes that by combining these two things, gamification and learning analytics.
You can create a truly dynamic and responsive learning environment.
That really like caters to each student's needs.
Exactly. It's personalized learning at its best.
But
There's always a but.
there's always a but.
We got to be careful.
Okay, what are the downsides?
Well, I think one concern is that if we overemphasize gamification,
Okay.
it could kind of undermine the intrinsic value of learning.
What do you mean by that?
Like, students might become so focused on earning points and badges that they forget about the real purpose of learning about history.
Oh, I see. So they're not really learning.
They're just chasing the reward.
You're just playing the game.
Exactly. So we need to strike a balance.
So how did you do that?
Well, I think it comes down to the design of the games.
Okay.
They have to be carefully crafted to align with those learning objectives
Right.
and really encourage deep engagement with the historical content.
Not just like surface level stuff.
Yeah, we want them to think critically, analyze sources, all that good stuff.
And we want them to be motivated by the learning itself,
Yes, the real reward is the knowledge and understanding.
not just the points and badges.
Exactly.
What about learning analytics?
Yeah, that's another area where we need to be cautious
Okay.
with all this data being collected.
Right.
We have to make sure it's used ethically and responsibly.
Yeah. So it's not about like surveilling students
No, not at all.
or tracking their every move.
It's about understanding their needs,
Yeah.
their strengths, their challenges, so we can support them better.
So it's about empowering teachers
And students.
and students. with data.
To create that personalized learning experience we've been talking about.
Okay, so we've explored these 5 technologies, AI, XR, 5G, NLP, and gamification with learning analytics.
A lot to digest.
It is a lot. And, Hajdarovic, in his paper, he actually surveyed teachers.
Oh, interesting. What did they think?
And, they had some mixed feelings about all this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Some were really excited about the possibilities,
Oh, yeah.
but others were a little hesitant, even intimidated, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I can see that.
It's one thing to read about it,
It is.
but to actually picture yourself using these technologies in your classroom.
Yeah. And, some teachers might be thinking like, do I even have the skills to do this?
Right. Or the resources.
Or the support.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's a big question mark for a lot of people.
It is, and it brings us to a really crucial point, I think.
Okay.
These technologies are coming.
Ready or not.
Ready or not, exactly. So the question isn't whether we should use them, but how.
How do we prepare?
How do we prepare ourselves, our students, for a future where AI, XR, all these tools are part of the educational landscape?
So what does this all mean for you, dear listener?
Right. Are you ready for a history classroom where students have AI tutors, they're taking virtual field trips?
And playing games that teach historical empathy.
I mean, it's an exciting prospect.
It is exciting. It's also maybe a little bit overwhelming, yeah.
But I think the key is to remember that technology is a tool.
It is a tool.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
It's all about how we use it.
Exactly. And it's up to us, educators, students, society as a whole, to make sure these technologies are used to enhance learning, to deepen understanding, to cultivate critical thinking skills.
It's about finding that sweet spot where technology complements, enhances the human element of education, and doesn't replace it.
Right. We don't want to lose sight of that human connection.
Absolutely. And, Hajdarovic focused primarily on formal education in his paper.
Right, the classroom setting.
Yeah, but it kind of makes you wonder,
Yeah.
like, how might these technologies impact how we learn about history outside of school?
Oh, that's a good question.
Like in museums or through entertainment.
Even just on our own, in our homes.
Yeah, I mean, these technologies could really democratize access to historical knowledge.
Make it more accessible to everyone.
Yeah, make it more engaging, more interactive.
The possibilities are really endless.
It's an exciting time to be a history enthusiast.
It really is. We're living in the future, folks.
We are, and who knows what amazing discoveries and new ways of learning await us in the years to come. That's a deep dive for you, food for thought, as we venture further into this digital age.
Stay curious.
Still curious, and we'll be back soon with more fascinating explorations.